Awesome. Hey, welcome everyone. Today is Tuesday and it's December 17th. My name is Larry Bale, your host for the day. For the next 30 minutes, we're going to be talking all about mastering Encompass. Thanks for coming today. I'm in a bit of a pickle just because my mic is different, so hopefully it's okay. Because I ran into a meeting last second here. I don't even have my lights on, so I look like crap. Oh, there we go. Now you can actually see me. Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing? Getting ready? It's louder. Sorry, am I too loud? You know me, I like to talk loud. Um, Sorry about that. So today is one of the last events of the year. And so what we're doing today, I thought we'd do a little bit of a workshop. So in 2025, just to kind of get everybody in the mode of doing stuff, we're actually going to be working on active workshops. I'm going to stay tuned for the calendar of events. I'm going to basically plan out 6 months of events coming through for those workshops. One of the first workshops we're going to go through, one of the first sets of workshops we're going to be going through are basically how to deal with workflow settings or Encompass web settings rather, putting it into desktop experience. And so one of the things that I've found a lot of folks, and raise your hands if this is you, but you kind of know what workflow, we know what Encompass Web's all about and some of these new settings, but having the time to get the projects done is problematic, or getting the business to decide what they want to do is problematic, right? And so, yeah, so everybody's raising their hands. We'll let Luba in. Yeah, and I tell you, it's interesting. We, as mortgage workflow partners, we continue to grow. We just hired 4 more team members on as admins and project admins. And out of all of our 20 plus clients that we support, we do these workflow reviews. If you guys have never seen it, if you want an example, send me a message. I'll give you an example directly because I don't want it on the recording. But we go through this, we go through all the companies and we go through literally, we interview everybody from beginning to end, meaning from sales through accounting, and we figure out what people are actually doing all day, like what they're legit doing. Like, are they using paper and pen? Are they using Outlook? Like, what are they doing? And the reason why this is important for us is because we want to make sure that we see, we show the business what's happening, and they can finally decide that, yes, you know what, instead of using Outlook, we can use notification templates. Instead of using checklists, we can use workflow rules. Instead of using, for the sales team, instead of using desktop, we can show Encompass Web. So earlier today in the Mastering Encompass for admins, I showed the team there what we are delivering this Friday as a pilot V.1 with a card-based view for the sales team for pre-quals. And I'm damn proud of it. It's really, really cool. And so it allows the teams who, I'm not making this up, some of the teams work in Google Sheets. Some of them work in Airtables. What they don't do is put every loan into Encompass because it's a pain in the ass for them from a location perspective. Some of these folks are mobile. They literally call in. They have a person. It's not just a guy, but they have a person sitting in a chair like me, and I'm literally listening, waiting for the phone call from you in the field so that I can enter stuff into Encompass for you. Probably not the best use of time. Like I'm sure you can imagine the scenarios there. Yeah, Candace, it's a yikes thing, but it works. That's the crazy part. It works for them. So why change it? And when I went to the branch manager and I said, but imagine you don't have to do that. Imagine you can actually do these things from the field immediately from wherever you are. You can access your pipelines. You can add blah, blah, blah. You guys know the deal. And it was like, okay, we'll make it happen. And so that's what we're launching this week. So my point to you is in 2025, my agenda for you, for everybody listening to this, is to take conversations and turn them into actions. For those that are going to the ICE Mortgage Technology Show, a couple of announcements that I want to make sure you are aware of. First of all, let me go ahead and share the screen over here. So first of all, if you are going to the ICE show, now you can't sign up for this yet. So when you can, go ahead and track this down. I'll be at this event. I'll be actually one of the folks on the panel, teaching everybody about, how you can basically use Encompass native tools to automate and innovate. No development required. Yes, I just read the screen, but the idea here is that I'm all about unwinding unnecessary technology. I'm all about workflow first. It's going to be myself right now. It's scheduled to be also with Matt Van Fossen, who you might know from Big POS, but he actually runs a mortgage company too. That came first. And so he's going to talk about how he leveraged it. I'm going to talk about other things that have worked so far, and we've got another 2.5 months left to give you more examples. So if you're going to that, do that, get over there and sign up for that one. Something else that I wanted to make sure you are aware of, if you're also going to the ICE show, if you're interested in staying one extra day, I encourage you to. We're going to be there, I believe, hopefully we're going to be at the casino in a room there. And as a day after, we're basically taking the conversations and turning them into action. So it's going to be a full day of learning, full day of doing. My agenda for you for that day is to go through everything that's on here. I'm going to be adding more stuff here. We've got about 6 people, I think, signed up so far. Definitely get in early, saves you some money. And it's really the last 2 years that we've done this have been great. This one's going to be different, and moving forward, I'm going to actually turn it into a full day of a workshop and actually getting things done. So that way you can go back to your business with some stuff actually already configured for testing, hopefully, or at least some really strong ideas to come back to the business to say, this is how we do it. I'll be sharing insights of what I've learned over the last really 17, 18 months of leveraging web for clients, how to roll in enhanced conditions, things like that. So little bit of tease there for you. Okay. So first of all, anybody have any questions they want to, Christine, do you have your hand up because you have a question, because you want to come up on stage, or because you just didn't take it down from you or the person that couldn't get stuff done? Oh, looks like you're down. Okay. I'm watching chats. Does ICE session send? Yeah, Chris, actually, kudos to Amy for letting me know that ICE session even was updated. Apparently it updated over the weekend or something. So yeah, I would say visit it. I don't rely upon ICE emails that much. That's why I kind of post them in the community. So if anybody else sees that you can register for sessions, post it in the community, help your community members out to sign up quickly. All right, so who has not disabled the open web version within your Encompass desktop? Meaning, who has not gone into each persona and has not moved the radio button from both to just desktop? So a couple people are saying that they have not done that. And so my response to that, thanks for answering. My response to that is, what is the experience that those folks are having? And here's what happened, true story. So last Friday was in a client meeting. So Amy says, we want certain people to have access for dual AUS. Totally fine. The good news is you can get to dual AUS straight through AUS tracking. Lucas says, we've not heard a peep about it. Again, nobody's going to go, the average person is not going to go be curious. They've got a job to do. They're just going to sit there and do their own thing and not really care about it. The problem is that it's not everybody. Some people will actually think, well, it's available, so why don't I use it? And they're going to go to a loan file and they're going to just experience things that, are just kind of a mess. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today is how to build a landing page, basically, that takes away everything from the loan left nav, and if I can click on the right thing, and presents an under construction page. You guys want to talk about that? You want me to show you how to do it? I use this concept also. I trained to this concept in admin course where I teach what's called single. So you have default. Does everybody know you have default input forms, right? And so when I teach class about default input forms, I always teach one. You want one input form to be your default input form. And that one single input form is a custom input form. And in the middle of that page, it says, this loan does not have an input, does not have a loan template set. Please apply loan template set now. How does this happen? If you use Consumer Connect and you create a loan that doesn't, where you didn't set up your loan templates thoroughly, you could have a loan created with no loan template set. If you have somebody create a loan manually because they're allowed to and they forget to use a loan template set when they create it, that's how you get there. So using that methodology, I applied it to Consumer Connect, applied it to Encompass Web. And what I did was I look at the experience, right? Again, workflow first. So look at the experience, and when somebody comes into my setup, feel free to take a screenshot if you want to use this as an inspiration. But this is what I deliver out to sales teams, and it goes really well. And if I see this out in the field, I know I inspired you, which makes me happy. But effectively, this is a card-based view, right? And I've talked about this publicly. This by far is the best way to manage Encompass Web. If you're not using card-based views, I'd love to talk to you because you got to use card-based views. You have to. Like, you don't have a choice. So here's what happens if you don't. You land here. And this is the experience that your team gets. What do I do? Where do I go? I have no idea what to do. Yes, there's cards, but that's not what they're going to think. They're going to think, well, I'll just go down to borrow some origination. And I'm going to feel like, yep, same old Encompass. I still got to scroll to get to wherever, and it's really hard, blah, blah, blah. So how do you deal with making this the way you want? So what I did was I changed a little setting, which I'll make sure you all know how to do. But I changed the setting, and so now over on the left side, now there's nothing. And when we go to look at this, I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh. Should land on there. I love doing live demos. So we should see an input form that basically says under construction. Ah, you sucker. So let me show you what it's supposed to look like. I don't know why it's failing on me right now. So anyway, how do you do this? When you come into customization, where I'm trying to get you to is the under construction input form. And in the under construction input form, what you're going to want to do is make sure that you build out a single input form, and that's, I call that a construction. And on there you have a single category box, and then you upload pictures, right? So each of these are images, right? Image control. You can see I kind of was fooling around with different variations of what that image control looks like in terms of an image. You can't make this bigger. I know you want to like stretch it like an input form or like a website, but you can't. So that's why I put 5 in here, and then I used the offset feature to make sure it stayed center, blah, blah, blah. So once you have this created, make sure that, of course, it's enabled. That's important. Also want to make sure it's available in the left nav. That's also important. And where we're going to get to is under the company user setup, we're going to click on the loan left nav. If you've not done anything, you're only going to have one in here. It's going to say standard template. And so what you'll do is you'll create a new one by clicking the plus icon. And what it will do is it'll create this little space, and you'll notice that there's no channels checked. And so think about this like milestone templates, right? We all familiar with milestone templates, and it kind of goes from the top. And so cancel that. So if discard. So if I go here, thank you. I have to uncheck my main one, right? The standard one is by default. So it's kind of reversed. In other words, if you don't do anything else, it's going to go to standard. But if you do something on here, it'll look at the channel. So what I did initially was I had this going for all of my loans, all my channels. And then when I wanted to show this one, I said, okay, for demonstration purposes, create a new loan left nav. Go ahead and turn all these off. Now you'll notice if you didn't notice, let me point it out. So in the main one, I turn that off also. I turn off the processor, forms, governments. So these are all custom ones that I created. The forms is actually not custom, it's standard. So you can turn that off also. You can turn off whatever you want, which is exactly what I did with this experience. And then ideally when I land here, I land under construction. And so that when I come into a pipeline, again, you can do it by channel or other conditions. When you come into a loan file, let's see if I can get this to work for me. If they go from desktop into web, where I want them to land, let's see if I can get this to work this time, is on that single input form. Is this making sense for everybody? Is everybody kind of getting the vibe? Don't know, again, if you'll use it. You can pick whatever you want here. Yeah, it's still not letting me do it. So I'm going to just kind of let you imagine what that looks like if I can. Again, live demos are awesome. I'll send you a screenshot. Oh, again, for those, show the left nav again. Sure, Amy. Click the right icon. There we go. So where you want to go is company user setup and loan left navigation. I chose brokered, by the way, just because I want to make sure it can individualize what shows up here. When you come down here, I turned all of these off, and then I selected this input form over here, custom forms, and then I selected under construction. Click apply. That will go there. It'll spin. It'll give you a little notification here, and hit save. Ideally, when you come in, one of the things that you saw me do on the forms when I came in was the loan officer forms. So let me just show you what this looks like. So you can create your own custom item set. And the reason why they call it custom item set is because you can control what goes in there, from tools, to forms, to standard forms. And if you have any custom tools, you can also include any custom tools. I don't, so I don't. And then once you're over here and you have this selected, you click done, you can go over here and you can move things around as you need to. So it's kind of a two-step process. First, add them to the custom set, and then you can modify them here. If you want to get rid of something, just go ahead and hover over the kebab and then hit the delete can. Ultimately, when you do that, you can adjust the order of these depending on how you want to have them appear, assuming that they're active. Active means they show up. Does that make sense, everybody? Everybody feel good about that? Cool. So when you go through here, some of the other items that are important to really understand about the under construction that I want to talk about is when we come to custom forms. It's kind of a weird thing. It's a little bit annoying, but you'll notice that these boxes are unchecked. And that's because they're enabled. So if you want to do your backup or you want to export them anywhere, just make sure you uncheck enabled, and then you can check it, and then you can either refresh or export. Something else that's important to understand too is just because it's enabled does not mean it needs to be available in the nav. So if you're struggling with implementing this type of feature, and you don't see it showing up properly, make sure that it's available in the left nav for the user to show up. The last thing I'm gonna remind you about is in go ahead and stop sharing for just a second, just in case it pops up, which of course it did. To go ahead and share something with you at the settings level. So when you're going through, and go ahead and share again this part. So when you're going through and you're looking at your personas, remember that your web settings in terms of showing something active on the loan left nav and making sure it's part of that that item set, you need to make sure on the web version that you also enable the custom input forms or standard web forms here. Why they chose different names, I'm not quite sure, but they did. Secondly, also over here in these standard features, please make sure you keep an eye on this as well. So if you don't want to display any of these items, whether they be services or tools, these are all newer part of the persona, make sure that you address these as well. And as a reminder, if you're the kind of company that has multiple personas assigned to individual user accounts, remember that you're going to have to address every persona on this part. Otherwise, you might have a user with an unexpected experience. One of the things that you cannot do here that you can do on the Forms Tools tab is exclude standard forms. Right, so a little bit different of an experience. Just want to make sure I explain that out there. And then if you do have, like we are implementing companies that are using workflow tasks as the only reason to go to the web, you can default the persona to land on task pipeline down here in the lower right versus landing on loan pipeline when they go to encompass.ice.com. So that's what I had for today. Does anybody have any questions? Do you want to go over any of the circumstances? If anybody wants to put in the chat or show of hands, if you want to come on mic or whatever, what's the one, is there like the top thing you're thinking of in Compass Web in terms of the UI? Forget about the settings for a second, but in terms of the UI, is there anything that really standing out for folks, like departments that you're focusing on, or circumstances that you're looking to leverage Encompass Web UI over? Some of the teams that we're seeing a lot of positive movement on are secondary teams because of the quickness to get in and out of files, because it's just a secondary registration tool. Sales teams like we showed earlier, and then also post-closing and accounting teams. Post-closing because that's a great use case for workflow tasks to follow up. And accounting teams, again, because a lot of times your accounting teams, they have to go in to fix something to get it back out into accounting properly. So the ability to get in and out of files with their own kind of spot where they go is a beautiful thing. So Amy says, we'd love to get sales and then Lockdesk up and running on web. Yeah, Lockdesk is a great way. Sales might be interesting. It would be interesting for you, Amy, is because you do a lot of non-retail stuff, is to create something that's unique for your AE to hop in and out of files. That would be pretty cool for you. Lubus's task workflow for appraisal desk and maybe condo desk. I like that, Luba. I'd love to see how that works for you, especially if it's like a condo and you need condo review and you send the task off to that team. Renee says, is it required that you use admin login to order to see a new button on the web custom forms? No, but you have to be a super. So we are in some projects where we are administrators, and with administrators, you can configure it to see all of these settings, right? So you can take any persona and you can actually assign all of these rules, including input form builder and diagnostic mode, without being a super. But what you can't do if you're not a super is get to web settings. So keep that in mind. Candace says, yes, quick access for folks who don't work heavily, and Encompass would be a good use case. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And so, some of the things that you need to worry about in here also, besides the left nav, is the loan summary bar. So it's really cool for those that have, Renee, I'm going to talk to you about that in a second. So what's really cool about the loan summary bar, of course, is by channel, you can define what shows up there. So you might have different information on a brokered workflow up at the top versus not. So same thing as we said, as we did in the forms list, you can create fields, custom fields, and virtual fields at the top in that loan info bar. So that's really cool. Oh, thank you, Jill. So yeah, Renee, if you're talking about customization down here in custom forms, remember that you cannot edit these unless you go to encompass.ice.com. So Renee, if you're talking about forms in terms of new, Jill's right on top of it. She knows what to do. She's giving you good advice. It's what we teach in the web Mastering Web Essentials course. So Renee, give us a thumbs up or whatever. Let us know you're good. And for everybody else, again, encompass.ice.com, if you're doing any type of real admin work, if you need to work in customizations, you can get to like rules and stuff through settings, right? So what I'm talking about is here. If you go to settings overview, you can come over and click web settings at the top, but I want you to notice the difference, right? First one to notice gets my respect. What's missing from the upper right? Go. What's missing? Anybody? But I know Amy wants to answer. I know Amy. Jill got it. Congratulations, Jill. You have my respect. The waffle. Yeah, and so the waffle is Jason, you were close to menus, but it's definitely the waffle. Technical term, of course. But this little dude right here. I mean, you're also missing all this other stuff too, right? But definitely the waffle is important. The options, Brian, it's the waffle. Last thing I'll say on here, which is kind of weird, if you click on your little person icon and then click about, you'll see your instance ID that you're here. You'll also see that we're working on release.4. So the web releases are a little bit different than desktop releases. Even in resource release notes, they're a little bit different. Yeah, Candace, you got a waffle, you got a hamburger, you got kebab. You know, don't forget this is called a kebab. I don't know why everything's food. The other one's ellipse, like on the side is ellipse. So who knows? I don't make this stuff up. Gang, we will. I don't know if we'll have an event next week because it is Christmas Eve. My guess is we will not. Stay tuned for more announcements. We're going to see some great updates with the community coming up. More to come on that. It's been a phenomenal year. I mean, there's been a lot of time that we spent together. So thank you very much for allowing me to try to help you. As always, if there's anything that you think we need to cover and you're confused on, please ask in the community. This week's been a phenomenal amount of communication. So thanks everybody for helping each other out. That's what we do. And happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, everything else that's happening this year. Happy New Year if we don't talk to you. But stay tuned, stay active in the community. And if you want to see that again, stay tuned for the replay. See you again. Have a great rest of your day.